Unstable SMP is currently Minecraft's biggest content creator server, with the content creators consisting of wemmbu, parrot, spoke and flamefrags. Unstable has become notorious for being a unique twist on the traditional modern SMP formula, with it being scripted. A bonus of the server being scripted is that crazy stuff can happen. Real quick, make sure to watch till the end because I guarantee you'll look at Unstable SMP in a completely different perspective after finishing this video. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Take wemmbu's Season 1 final for example, where wemmbu takes an unfair 2v1 against Unstable's best PvPers, Ferret MC and clownpierce. Wembu's armor breaks, he's down to only a chestplate, but he manages to fly away and survive even after being chased. Now watching this for the first time would be exhilarating, especially knowing that one wrong move could cause Wembu to lose his only life on the server. It was honestly an awesome fight that contributed to the climax of Season 1, and having Wembu escape with literally no armor I found creative. Now of course Wembu probably couldn't do that if the server wasn't scripted, no offense to Wembu, but the point is that it's not completely unreasonable to happen in an unscripted scenario. But this contributes to Unstable's appeal of quite literally unlimited possibilities. Now so far, Unstable being scripted just sounds like a great thing. And granted, incredibly unlikely scenarios occurring thanks to Unstable being scripted is great for the server's content. In moderation. You see, this gives the content creators an insane amount of plot armor, which as a viewer, these thrilling battles start to lose the ability to have you on the edge of your seat, as you know the creators you're watching will 100% survive. Okay, let's look at another Unstable SMP creator, Parrot. In the video titled I Got Hunted by a Minecraft Hacker, True Original, this episode's antagonist, clears Parrot's inventory and summons him thousands of blocks in the sky. Now, I'm not an expert on hacks, so whether that is actually possible with the use of hacks is quite frankly beyond me, but anyway, keep in mind Parrot has nothing. He quite literally cannot survive this. Oh wait, his teammate attached a horse to a lead and flew right underneath Parrot as he fell. Now don't get me wrong, this was a cool clutch to watch, but Parrot's plot armor here is so obvious and strong that it gets to a point of it being kind of ridiculous. Like this would never in a million years happen spontaneously in an unscripted server. And that's for many reasons, like why couldn't True Original just teleport Parrot back up and then Newfly wouldn't have made the clutch? Anyways, that's not the point. It's moments like these where the creator's plot armor is a little too strong. But if the server wasn't on hardcore mode and players had more than one life, moments like this wouldn't have to happen and plot armor wouldn't be as strong. Okay, so we've discussed the creators having plot armor, but what about the other players on the server? Well, Unstable SMP uses PvP as one of its main sources of entertainment. The 4 content creators on the server, we'll call the Big 4, they all regularly fight random, unknown players, and most of the time they end up killing them. They kill these players because they don't have to face any consequences of them no longer being in videos because they're not well known, so them being banned doesn't really affect the server. Wait, what? You're telling me we won't ever get to see GigaGamer1 appear in an Unstable video again? That's it. I'm quitting. I'm never watching Unstable again, bro. These players are simply there to drag out the runtime and to make the videos more entertaining by having PvP, so chances are if you don't recognize a player's skin, username, or if they simply aren't speaking, then they are gonna lose the fight that you're watching. Comment down below, guys. I actually challenge one of you guys to find me a scenario where this isn't the case. Okay, so it's predictable to see whether unknown players will die or not, but the Big 4 also regularly fight popular creators as well. Now, since these players are actually well known, unlike GigaGamer1, they don't ever die, because if they do die, they'll never be able to feature in an Unstable video ever again, which would destroy the longevity of Unstable SMP. So not only did the Big 4 have plot armor, but the antagonists do as well. So what happens if you put a player with plot armor against another player with plot armor? Well, you get stalemates where no player really wins. An example of this is on Spoke's Season 1 final, where him, minutetech and mapicc have Ashrag to themselves in a room. He literally has nothing, and for context, Ashrag is like the most evil person on Unstable SMP, tormenting players, indirectly causing the destruction of millions of resources and hundreds of players being killed, since he was the leader of the mafia. But Spoke spares him for some reason, just so they can potentially use Ashrag in a later episode. And I'm not saying they should have necessarily killed Ashrag off, he's probably Unstable's best actor and puts a lot of passion into his work, but maybe having Ashrag live in another way could have made the ending a little more realistic and satisfying. Another way stalemates happen on Unstable SMP is where the players simply stop fighting to restock or to escape, typically done with ender pearl stasis chambers. Now this could be a good thing, it drags out tension a little more and can make the final result of the battle more rewarding, but the thing is, this doesn't happen. Like the amount of times Wembu and Will have fought just for neither of them to die is probably in the double digits by now. I asked TryFreelX, whose Unstable content you may recognize, and he also agrees that the server being hardcore creates plot armor, which therefore makes fights predictable, but he does also state that it helps create more tension, which I can see where he's coming from, but I'll get into why that kind of isn't the case later on. From what I've asked dedicated fans of Unstable SMP, the general consensus is that the viewers know that the Big 4 will simply never die, because the server is in hardcore mode. So with players only having one life, a lot of the tension is ironically removed from fights. Fights become predictable and formulaic, and sagas that have carried on for months end in unsatisfying unsatisfying/odd ways just in case the related players need to be used in the future. But there are a couple ways we could fix this.
I can't promise that I won't leave you.
At the time of writing, Unstable Season 2 is being wrapped up. Well, kind of. Parrot is doing his own thing and finished his POV about a month ago, while the other 3 are on the last couple episodes of their respective sagas. So I'll admit, Solution 1 can't fix the one life issue for Season 2, but it definitely can for Season 3. Solution 1. Kill everyone. Okay, that sounds a bit dark, but hear me out. Imagine in Season 3 they kill a ton of players, and no, not just the Giga Gamer ones of the server, players like Clownpierce, Will, and Sharpness. But at the end of Season 3, the season's big bad villain somehow revives everyone. This could maybe even be Ashwag to have a little bit more payoff for Spoke sparing him. This can also get the Big 4 to unite, as I feel like Season 2 is seriously lacking the Big 4 actually communicating with each other, which is something Season 1 excelled at. Like, Parrot had one conversation with Spoke this whole season, and that was literally all the connections he had to the Big 4 this season. Just imagine Parrot, Flame, Wemmbu, and Spoke having to team up to take on all of the players that they've killed that season, or even better, have one of the Big 4 temporarily die before the whole server gets revived again to really remove the idea of plot armor and have the stakes higher than they've ever been before. Like I said, don't be expecting me to come up with some Project Hail Mary level story, but yeah. Solution 2, subscribe. Well, that's a bit of an odd solution. I mean, you should totally do it because it'll help, a small creator, out a lot. But anyway, what's the actual next solution? Come on. Solution 2, give everyone more than one life. Now, this is the obvious answer. Granted, giving all players 3 lives could get really complicated and has a lot of room for continuity errors. Like, one episode someone may have 2 lives, but next episode they'll accidentally have 3 or something like that. But it could cause players to actually face repercussions from fights, which will lower the amount of stalemates that players have, and it opens up the door for things like character development. Let's go back to that Wemmbu fight, where he somehow escapes Fair MC and Clownpierce. Imagine he had 3 lives in that fight, and instead of narrowly escaping, he gets killed. Wemmbu could still stay in the series, but there's a permanent reminder that he messed up for being overconfident, and like I mentioned earlier, this could help shape Wembu's character into someone who's more heedful when it comes to creating fights. Now, how would you tell how many lives a player has? Well, you could do what the live series does and have different players have different color name tags depending on their life count. So players that have 3 lives can have a green name tag, players that have 2 lives can have a yellow name tag, and people who have 1 life can have a red name tag. Or you could just have the number of lives above their head or something like that, you get the point. At the end of the day, this would let fights be less formulaic, foreseeable, and would weaken not only the Big 4's plot armor, but everyone on the servers. And also with this solution, we can finally see Giga Gamer 1 return. Wait, real quick, comment down below your thoughts on this. I reply to almost all my comments, unlike most creators, so I won't just ignore your comment. This video took me a while to make, so like I mentioned earlier, simply pressing a button on your screen could help me out a ton, since I'm trying to become the biggest Unstable SMP documentary account on YouTube, and you could help me out with that. Click on the screen to see how I think Unstable SMP will kill Lifesteal. See you later.